What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 1, episode numero uno primero. That's Spanish for something, I think. Definitely number one. This is episode 1 of The Average Investor, and I'm calling this one the one where it all starts because everyone's got to start somewhere, right? I'm trying to restrain my laughter because that's just my personality, especially when I feel awkward or uncomfortable, and that's just being vulnerable and transparent. Out the gate, here we go. It's awkward, it's uncomfortable, but I've also learned this, that when we get uncomfortable, that means we're stretching. And when we're stretching, that means we're growing. And if we're growing, that means we're becoming better versions of ourselves, hopefully to help people become better versions of themselves. And that's, over the last 10 years, I've spent my life in life and leadership and spiritual development. And I have identified that my life's mission is to learn, live, and lead in the ways of Jesus, to engage, equip, and empower others so that I can have an influence and an impact on lives that will ultimately honor God. And that's who I am. That's who God created me to be. So episode one, it's the cornerstone. It's the foundation stone of this project that I'm calling The Average Investor. Episode 1 of hopefully many to come, where I'll share insights and ideas on investing, my personal opinions and decisions on investments, but much more than that. Hopefully you'll hear ideas on leadership and definitely investing, definitely money management. And it's all for you, the average person, because that's who I am and that's what I am. I'm an average person, and I'm here to help the average person become an average investor, hopefully to build above average wealth. But it's not just about money. And that's something that I've had to learn in life. Life isn't just about money. In fact, the Bible tells us, for the love of money is the root of all evil. So life exists much more than for money. In fact, the average investor is going to be about you, the average person. This is going to be about people. It's going to be about growth. It's going to be about leadership. It's going to be about stewardship, ultimately about influence and impact. So again, the foundation, the cornerstone. Why? Because again, my vision is to influence people and impact lives that honor God. This isn't about personal influence. This isn't about getting likes, shares, subscribers, followers. Of course, likes and shares and subscribers can be significant because that's how information spreads. But that's not what I'm doing this for. I'm not here to keep a note on tally. I'm not measuring metrics just for metrics' sake. Again, my vision is to have an influence and an impact on lives that honor God. Influence is not about being known. It's about making a difference. And impact is measured in changing lives. So whether that's through leadership, investing, business, ideas, or simply having meaningful conversations, I want my life to matter because it helped others move forward. And again, I'm going to do that through learning, living, and leading in the ways of Jesus to engage, equip, and empower others. So some background. Why the average investor? Why investing? In 2020, we all went through something global called COVID, and many of us found perhaps some extra time on our hands. And so 2020 was actually also a pivotal catalytic moment in the world economy. For me, I actually probably became, I would call passionate, maybe obsessed with investing. And so I started investing a lot of time, leisure time, if you will, in watching CNBC. Some people will watch binge TikTok, Netflix. I started binge watching CNBC shows like The Squawk on the Street. Again, I'm laughing because it's super freaking nerdy, but that's who I am. I started watching Netflix or CNBC shows like Squawk on the Street, Halftime Report, Closing Bell, and I started getting I started learning about market analysis and commentators, and man, I just started stacking up books and podcasts and articles by people like Jack Bogle, the founder of Vanguard, and Warren Buffett. I read The Intelligent Investor. That joker was 500 pages by Warren Buffett's mentor. Definitely not bathroom reading material. But I started listening and watching and reading commentary analysis by people like Jim Cramer and Josh Brown, listening to the Compound and Friends podcast by Josh Brown and Michael Batnick, listening to commentary by definitely Jim Cramer, Josh Brown, Joe Terranova, Jim Liebenthal. Man, I've ordered these people's books. I'm reading them. I'm listening to their commentary podcasts. So maybe if you've listened this far, you're like, Jason, what's the point? Here's the point. I've learned that investing is not just for the 1%ers. It's not just for the wealthy people. It's not just for the upper class. It's for anyone investing anything and any amount of money in any business. And so what those people help me learn is that they talk to the average person. They make the unfamiliar familiar. They make what is perceivingly to the upper echelon of society to the common folk, to the average person. And so again, I realize that investing is not just for the 1%ers. It's not the upper echelon of society. It's not for the wealthy. It's not the upper class. It's for anyone, anywhere, with anything at any time. And here's what I found awesome for me, is that investing can be fun. Investing can be really fun. In fact, again, you don't have to have a super amount of money. You don't have to be like Scrooge McDuck sitting on his little gold coins and sitting on his save. Like, you literally can have a dollar you can invest. And so for me, man, it just became super intriguing and interesting, and then fun looking at company products that I use. For, like, look, Celsius, you wouldn't believe it, but this company has returned above average returns. I'm not sponsored by them at all, but would love to. Celsius, if you're listening, I'll drink one of these an episode. Anyways, but finding companies that you're interested in, products that you use, and figuring out what makes them work. And then if you're super nerdy like I am, download their financial reports, their earning reports, their revenue reports, figuring out the fundamentals that they operate on and seeing what makes them tick. And so if you've made it this far, I think it's awesome. Thank you so much. The first takeaway that I want you to hear is that investing is for anyone, anywhere, anytime, with anything. And the second thing I want you to hear, investing is about having a long-term perspective and consistency over short-term panic and intensity. Here's the reality. Everybody wants an overnight return. Everybody wants overnight wealth. Those are anomalies. And it's if you time things perfect. And quite frankly, it's if you start betting on the market. The reality is, even Warren Buffett says, never bet against the American economy. And so investing is about having a long-term perspective and consistency over short-term panic and intensity. So over the last 5 years, I've become obsessed and passionate with understanding businesses, investing, stocks, the market, and how it all works. I wanted to know what makes great companies successful. I wanted to understand how wealth is created and how the average person could become an average investor to build above average wealth. And the more I learned, I realized investing is one of the greatest wealth building tools available even to the average person. So why the average investor? It's for the average person. I'm here to make investing make sense to normal people. There's no suits. There's no Wall Street jargon. Okay, that's a lie. I'm going to talk about Wall Street terms and terminology, but I'm here to make those make sense. You're definitely going to hear about bulls and bears and letters that are called tickers that represent companies. But this is going to be about real conversations about businesses and their stocks, managing money well, and building wealth, explained in a way that the average person can actually understand. Because here's almost a definitive frustration of mine, the absurdity of financial illiteracy. There's no reason there should be financial illiteracy. Financial literacy shouldn't be complicated. Investing shouldn't feel exclusive. And building wealth should be accessible to anyone, anywhere, at any time, at any income level. So the mission of the average investor is simple: helping average people build above average wealth. This isn't reserved for rich people. It really is for people willing to learn. It's for the average person to become an average investor and be a little less average with your money. So moving forward, here's what you can expect. Here's my chief aim and purpose. In future episodes, I would love to talk about stock market investing, the types of investments, the kinds of accounts, building wealth, and much more than that. How we can be better people to have an influence and an impact on lives that will honor God. How can we build wealth? How can we be better as leaders where we're at with who we do life with? Personal development, business ownership, and then definitely financial management. So here's the big picture. At the end of the day, my hope, my desire, my chief aim and purpose is that episodes will be informational, practical, transformational, and inspirational. And they're all going to be designed to engage, equip, and empower you to become a better you, a better investor, better than average investor, a leader where you're at, a manager of what God has given you so that you too can have an influence and an impact on the lives around you that will honor God. So here's how we're going to end. I'll end this episode with this reminder. My mission is simple: helping average people build above average wealth. It's not built by sitting on the sidelines. It's built by participating. So let's grab the bull by the horns, toe the line with the bears. Those will make sense as we move forward and take ownership of your financial future. Man, stay tuned. Let's keep learning. Let's keep building. Let's take simple steps that lead to significant results. And in the words of Dr. Dre, until the next episode, my friends, out.